have had a lot of jobs, about 40 actually, starting with, anybody Monty Python fan? Bicycle repairman, that was me. And I saved up enough money to buy my own bicycle. But the first proper job I had was working for Cardigan District Council in West Wales as beach cleaner. I used to get up in the morning and I'd go down and clean the beach before the tourists came down. It was great, lovely fresh air, super beach to work on, and it gave me a really good excuse to have a bonfire on the beach every morning. A legitimate reason. And I used to experiment putting aerosol cans in the middle to see how long it would take before they'd explode. Well, I was only about 13 at the time. I then worked for a summer holiday as a farmhand. That was the worst paid job I ever had. I got £1.05 for the whole summer holiday. £1.25 to you guys. I thought I might go into hotel management, so I got a job in the Green Park Hotel, working for Grand Metropolitan Hotels. And I worked in the pastry unit. I didn't work in the pastry unit very long. I actually got demoted to be van driver's assistant after a small incident with 5 gallons of creme brulee. Then, back when I was a teenager, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, I was rather shy and introverted. And I thought the best way to tackle that would be to become a disc jockey. So I did. I became a DJ, and I did that for 10 years professionally. I ran a mobile disco, I ran a small factory radio station for a while. But sadly, financial reality caught up, and I had to move back from Wales to London, where I went to work for London Transport and eventually became a bus driver. Following on from that, I did various temporary jobs. I worked for a few months as a minicab driver. I worked as a telephonist for a short while. I did accounts clerk's jobs and van driving. But then I needed another challenge. And I'd always been rather fearful of heights. So I thought, I know, I'll become a window cleaner. And I did. I started a one-man window cleaning company and went out and cleaned windows. And I remember the first house I did, it took me 2 hours. This was a tiny little terraced house. And I finished and proudly knocked on the door, and the little old lady who lived there came out and said, "Are you new at this, dear? You're a bit slow, aren't you? You're going to have to speed up a bit." I thought, yeah, okay. And I did. I speeded up. And by the time I finished doing that, I could hop from windowsill to windowsill on the first floor. And then one day I was back in the agency, the temp agency, and they asked if anybody knew about computers. And I said, well, I don't know about computers, but I'd like to. So they sent me along for an interview. Bear in mind this was the late 70s. I'd never actually seen a computer, but I went along for an interview. And I spent the whole interview talking about music and hi-fi, because that was one of my passions. And it happened it was one of the passions of the interviewer as well. So that was handy. And he thought, I better get him back for a second interview. So he did. And yes, you've guessed it, we spent the whole of the second interview talking about music and hi-fi. And so he thought, well, I'll give him the job. And I took this job as a database administrator and stayed on in the evenings and taught myself programming. And eventually I got a job as a programmer with the same company. This was with the help of the nice, considerate and very understanding programmers that worked there. And then I got poached and asked to go and work in Holland for 9 months on a project over there. So I did that, and at that time I started my current company, Craven Plan, which I've now been running for 30 years.
Ooh.
Yes. So, part of working for Craven Plan has also meant that I've done a bit of expert witness work, which has been quite fun. That's definitely been the most profitable work that I've ever done. But what was the best job I ever had? Bus conductor. It was brilliant. Any more fares? Room for one on top. Move along inside. Tickets, please. All the old favourites. I had a wonderful route I worked on, the number 9, and it went from Hammersmith up Kensington High Street, past the Albert Hall, Knightsbridge, Hyde Park Corner, Piccadilly, down to Trafalgar Square and along to the Aldwych. Wonderful. It taught me a lot about life as well, how to persuade people to do what you needed them to do, like the guy that wouldn't pay. So I had a quick chat with him and I said, "You're holding all these people up, they want to go to work." And I turned to the rest of the passengers and they all joined in and said, "Yeah, come on mate, you're holding us up, we want to get to work." And he couldn't resist, so he paid. Or the night when I was on the last night of the proms and we went past the Albert Hall. I figured I was a bus conductor, so I had the whole bus singing, "Land of hope and glory." And there was a scary side to it occasionally as well. Not as you might imagine, the drunken yobs. It was the posh ladies of Knightsbridge after the sales, fighting for that remaining seat on the bus. They'd be pulling each other's hair, kicking, trying to get on the bus. But it was overall enjoyable, it was the freedom, it was the well-paid work that I did there, and it was just fun. The people, it was a great job. The best job I ever had. Bus conducting. Thank you.
Humorous speech. Thank you.